Like you see in Ekadasi Mahatmyams, where if you observe this Ekadasi or this Brat, then you go to Vaikuntha for 60,000 years. This is told in the Puranas. This is the Phal, Brata Phal.
Yeah.
You go for 60,000 years, then you take birth in heavenly planets or Earth or whatever. I said, how is it, how you go to Vaikuntha and come back? He said, this is the Mahavaikuntha, the material world. It's a very elevated place. But without prema, there's no entrance into Vaikuntha on any level. One must have developed a prema. But by punya phal, one might have done tremendous punya and get that promotion as the Puranas are promising. I said, well, what about when it says dying in Vrindavan? If someone dies in Vrindavan, recently there one devotee died in Vrindavan, or maybe a couple, I think. Someone called me to mention that to me. He was like known to me a little bit, and somehow they felt inspired to call me. His name was Nitai Das. He's an American person. He came sometimes to satsangs, and he died in a very, he just kind of died, had a hemorrhage, but he was alive for 24 hours afterwards. And I had kirtan, he left his body in a hospice. So so that of course everybody will be asking that question. It says you go to Goloka Vrindavan, so what does this mean? And then of course he's a Pandit, so he knows all these shastras. So I said, just means you go to Vaikuntha, or you go, what does it mean, you go to Goloka? And he said, there's several shlokas there, in Mathura Mahatmyam. But the one he quoted was, he said, Krishna speaking, that's Sri Krishna Vacha. And he says, Mamalayam, Mam Alayam, like Vojanlaya Alaya. Alaya means my place, my abode, it's not really a place, it's the spiritual world is a level of, it's a plane, a state of consciousness. There's no, the spiritual world is never described as a grahan. It's not a planet. Goloka Vrindavan is not a planet. It's a realm. It's inconceivable to our limited intelligence, because we have all linear and time and spatial considerations. Because in the third canto, when Maitreya and Vidura were speaking, that Uddhava, Maitreya, Vidura, Uddhava, I forget who met whom or whatever, it's been a long time. But it says that Uddhava was in trance, and then when Vidura arrived there, I think Uddhava and Maitreya were meeting or whatever, and when Vidura came there, then they said, oh, he's in meditation. So then it says, Uddhava came from that plane. Uddhava was in Dwarka. Uddhava was in Dwarka, and he came from Dwarka. And then he opened his eyes. So how is he came from Dwarka? Dwarka is in Gujarat, on the east coast of India, or west coast of India. And then this discussion went on in Haryana somewhere, in Gurugram or whatever. It's told like that in one tika. So they said he came from that level. It's like someone's having sport here, Leela Pravesh, and he comes back like Srinivasacharya, and he has all colors on him or something, because he came down from the Leela. So Uddhava came. It's described in the Sanskrit. He came from that plane. So Goloka is everywhere. So Krishna said Mamalayam. So Gurudev said, I said, so it says in this verse, it says someone's a murderer, he dies in a ditch, he dies in the bed, he's a murderer, he's this, that. He goes to Goloka Vrindavan, comes to me. How is it possible? And Gurudev said, yes, a very nice answer. He said, Krishna says Mamalayam, he comes to my abode, he will come to Vrindavan. This is a special benediction and mercy of Vrindavan. But when? So that he's dying here, because he died in Vrindavan, no matter what his state of consciousness was, he will he will go to Goloka Vrindavan. But what life? So he may suffer for so many lifetimes for the pop and sins that he committed while living in Vrindavan. And then again he'll get human life. Then he'll get Guru. And the Guru will tell him about Vrindavan, doing bhajan. And he'll come to Vrindavan. And then he'll develop Rag Marg, and then go to Asakti and Bhav and Prem. And then he'll die, and then he'll go to Goloka Vrindavan. He says, this is how it works. He says, it's like he's got the ticket. Because then I, understanding what Gurudev said, so then I said, okay, so this same murderer, or dacoit, if he died outside of Vrindavan, then he would also be punished next life, and so many lifetimes, and maybe just keep on his sabhav. His sabhav is to be dacoit, so this life after life will be eternally cast into damnation, like the Gita says. Yeah, just go further down the line and maybe never come back to even human form of life. So that's because he didn't die in Vrindavan. So he said the Shastras are not lying, the Shastras are correct. We have to understand how to apply. So I said, yeah, that's why you need Guru to understand Shastra.